Hi there! That's right, it's a great and glorious, soon to be famous one day Nick Dutch back on the camera again one more time for another delightful tarot show, and today we're going to be using the Celtic Tarot today. Slightly different set of designs, slightly different patterns, maybe a slightly different energy, mood, feeling and all the rest of that coming through, because the designs and the symbols, it's all there to sort of help to conjure up, a bit more meaning there, which helps me to sort of like latch into your questions and see what, kind of things is coming through. This is a free of charge service, okay? When I'm doing these videos, it's there for yourself. If you want to be added to the rota, do send me a private message, okay? Not in the comment section, not a video response. Send it through by a private message on this YouTube channel, which is Nick Dutch Tarot, okay? And I'll be happy to add you to the rota and we'll be able to do a reading for you. Don't make it far too long. Don't make it far too short. Provide just enough basic details, and if you can include your first name and date of birth, that would be cool as well. I don't do questions on medical matters, pregnancy, childbirth, and I don't do questions on legal issues, okay? Because there's legal constraints upon the service that I provide, and so unfortunately you just got to accept that. But in the meantime, don't worry. I'd love to have your questions coming through, and subscribe so you can get the regular updates. Even if you don't actually, request a reading yourself, it's always a good idea to subscribe, because you can get a different, perspective upon life, a perspective upon other people's lives. You can get yourself involved with the stories of basically what's happening and what's emerging, and you yourself can enjoy it, okay? This is an entertainment service which some people claim provides them with therapeutic benefit. So, enjoy, basically. We're going to go crack straight on with the first reading, and we'll see where it takes us. Just a second. Okay, we've got two inquiries of more or less the same vein. Jacqueline Eva is the first one, and Jacqueline Eva wants to know whether she's got some love coming through for her, a new relationship developing. Let's just have a quick look. We'll focus in on that one particular issue. We won't dwell upon the past, and we'll just see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods, energies, and all the rest of that are going to appear for you. Alright, actually looking very good indeed. We've got some fascinating signs here coming for you. Straight away, in the very short term future, well, it's not going to happen in the next 24 hours. That's the bottom line. There's a great feeling here of preparation for something else. The sense that the reading is giving me is you're trying to bring yourself to the point whereby you can actually have, a connection. You did mention something in your private message to me that you felt a bit shy and maybe a bit reserved. Don't worry about that, okay? I mean, some people do things like a comedy course just so they can learn more about how to be more, entertaining when they're amongst other people and the rest of that. We got the lightning struck tower here. Don't think that's a bad card. We don't interpret these things as being bad cards. The lightning struck tower speaks of renewal. It speaks of change and transformation in a very specific way, okay? It is from the old to the new, but it's not necessarily a negative change. It's something good coming through. Frequently in the Tower card of the Major Arcana, it is portrayed as if there's a lightning bolt coming down from heaven, as if to change the established order and create a new order for you. So that's actually a very good and positive sign. If you feel that maybe it's your shyness that's been holding you back, something is going to change over the coming months, which is going to enable you to feel much more confident when you're out there and about there, okay? Maybe you can use positive, affirmations in order to help yourself out. Look in the mirror and say, each and every single day, I'm getting more and more confident. That would be a very good one for you, and I'd recommend that you possibly give that one a go. Actually, I use affirmations a lot myself because I'm a human being, okay? I've got my own faults and foibles. I know that I can be fearful, I can be angry. There's all kinds of little things that can go wrong with an individual or can just push you off whack slightly. And if in your case it's shyness, then work on building confidence. The next thing which I think is perfect is further on down the line we've got the Star card, okay? Can you see that there? Hopefully you can. Now the Star card is often called the Wish card because it refers to what you want to get out of a situation is going to come your way. Now why would that be happening after a time of transformation? Think about that, okay? You've had your time of, things haven't been working out according to plan, but now things are moving in the right direction because you yourself are changing internally to be able to make sure that this wonderful future could actually occur. And then, hey presto, we get the Star card coming out with a sense of, what you want to get from this is going to come your way. The Star card is also a very good romantic sign as well. And it's fascinating that after those signs of change and preparation, which could be happening on lots of different levels of your character, of your life, of your background, and so on and so forth, we then get cup signs coming through. Cup signs are often associated with the romantic aspect, matters of the heart, okay? But also a sense of celebration too. So there's a whole story emerging here from your more reserved background, when it's more to do with contemplation and maintaining your stability, to be able to get a bit more confidence, maybe step out of your comfort zone a little, but not in a way which is going to necessarily destroy you, but which is going to allow you to change. So you're still maintaining your financial stability, your career stability, and all the rest of that, but there's a sense of revitalization which is occurring there, which is leading on to something you've always wanted coming your way, and a sense of loving energy with celebration associated with it. That's the story which I think is going to happen over the coming months. Okay, pessimistic time frame, February to March maybe. That's the way it's looking to me. But essentially, something is going to happen. You just got to keep your awareness going, okay? If you're not looking for something, you're not going to find it. So if you can just keep your scanners peeled for those little signs of someone just showing that they think that you're physically attractive, or emotionally attractive, or spiritually or intellectually attractive, then basically, work on it and go with that individual, because that would be so cool for you, and the longer term results are going to happen, I'm sure of it. Okay, we got Chris Bartley, 88, who's curious as to whether someone is going to come into their life and who that person will be. So, very similar message. It's not just a question of will it happen. It's more a question of who is it going to be. Alright, well, I'm not going to give you any names. Alright, maybe I can pick up some defining characteristics, but we'll just have a quick look and see basically what the reading says. We're again going to go chronological, so of course I use a certain number of different types of spreads. There's a Celtic cross spread for something which is more general, more sort of open and to do with the individual and the individual's development and progress through life. And then of course there's the chronological spread, which I've been doing today. Then of course there's the relationship spread, which deals with social interaction. There are a few others which I could design or create, or I've got in my repertoire for different varieties of questions. But let's have a quick look chronologically. I've been shuffling like mad, as is traditional. We'll see what kind of things is coming through for you. Alright, most important signs we've got here. Firstly, the Queen of Wands, speaking about communication from an individual who's got some kind of desire and or connection with you and or for you. Alright, so a communication sign comes through straight away. So it feels to me almost as if this individual could possibly be within your vicinity, but you're not necessarily aware of them already. Then we got basically some earth signs coming through. That can often mean familiarity. So it's again a reaffirmation to myself that maybe this is someone who is within your peripheral environment already, but it hasn't moved forward to better communication, further progress, and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So relax, take it nice and easy, but that individual seems to be coming around the corner for you. Now, further on from there, here we go. I mean, we got some excellent signs later on down the line. I'm going to come to those shortly, okay? Page of Coins, again talking about familiarity and consistency. So we've had the message of communication, we've got the message of stability and familiarity. Now we've got a bit of an indication saying this person could be slightly younger than yourself. Just very slightly, not too much, just ever so slightly. And also with a sense of a stable character, so it's younger but not immature. Okay, there's that, you've got to get that distinction right. And then, the next signs we've got here, fascinating. Again, strong cup sign suggesting a love bond. Three of Cups suggesting this individual could be moving out of a relationship prior to entering into one with yourself. So there's a bit of an interesting dynamic there that could be a bit of a challenge. Don't give up hope, but obviously act appropriately considering the circumstances. And then your longer term future. Alright? Signs of being in control and heavy signs of romance. Okay, I want you to have a look at the patterns here because the Celtic Tarot is beautiful. That's the Moon card, speaking of a lot of wisdom and also a sense of understanding your inner self, your inner youth. So essentially, apply some pleasure, apply some fun and recreation with this individual. I feel they need it, and I feel you'd like it as well. And then we got the Empress. Now, the Empress often speaks about control, but there's a very strong celestial message there as well. And for a celestial message, the feeling is much more to do with, would it feel like it's almost fated? I mean, do I believe necessarily there's someone who is fated to be yours? Personally speaking, I find that very difficult to lay my hands on. I know I'm a professional tarot reader, I should be talking about fate all the time. Basically, I just don't roll like that, okay? That's just not the way it seems to be. You've still got to apply your intellect, as well as your emotions, as well as your understanding, as well as your social norms and graces and all the rest of that stuff, to be able to make sure that things are going to work according to plan, basically. But is that person going to come your way? Yes, that's the way I see it. And I feel it's someone who's not too far outside of your immediate social circle. Okay, A Scripted Destiny has got a career inquiry, which is good. A bit of variety for me is always really rather welcome. So we've had some love inquiries, now we've got a career inquiry. Now, A Scripted Destiny has done a degree about 10 years ago and hasn't really necessarily got the full fruits of that work, and is curious about the possibility of going back to college or moving down a different path. Let's have a quick look. All I can do is tell you what I can see. We're going to do another chronological reading, and we'll see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods, energies, and all the rest of that are going to appear for you today. Let's have a quick look. Okay, very good indeed. Right. Okay, from the major arcana side of things, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. That's more speaking to do with pleasure. That's not necessarily speaking about necessarily hard work. We don't have that many signs of, really putting your back into something which is totally new. So is this necessarily talking about change? Not necessarily. I think it's more talking about trying to find out what you enjoyed and what you've done in the past. The message of the reading is that of looking back over the past 10 years when you've had some stability, but it hasn't really been as quite as good as it could be, if you get my drift there, okay? Trying to work out what really worked then and trying to move on from there. There is a bit of a message of there being some extra study, but is it necessarily like a full degree or a master's or a PhD? I don't think so. Alright, I don't think so. The message of the reading is much more to do with survival, maintaining your survival. And I think it's quite a wise reading as well, because within this particular spread, there is a feeling of needing to maintain where you are at the moment. Now, you're unhappy in your current job, so change your current job. Do some research and see what else is coming out there for you, and find out what other opportunities are there. But also bear in mind what you've learned from the past. We can often get into a rut of thinking. We can think that what we are in the here and now, that's essentially it. That's as far as we need to go. We don't need to think any further than that. But that's not always the case now, is it? Okay, so you've gone through your growth and development. Now you can work out what you want to do. Some education, yes. Something else just to give you a bit more information and knowledge will be fine. Work carefully upon your resume. Make your resume nicely scripted, nicely crafted, so that you can portray basically a new message and a new character. So everything that you're promoting into the outside world is that of renewal. And taking that into account, you're then going to be able to attract back what you're putting out. So it's essentially a bit like the law of attraction, but put into effort and communication and resumes and the way that you treat people when you're doing your interview your interview stages and all the rest of that. Obviously, think about the way that you present yourself with your clothes as well, because that's also an importance. Because I feel there's going to be new work coming your way not too far down the line, and it's going to be work which is actually going to do you some good. And yes, I do feel there's going to be another academic component. I personally don't think it's going to be quite as serious as a full-blown degree. Okay, we got Daniela Splash, who's curious about her ex and wants to see whether they can get back together again. Daniela Splash is someone who feels that the ex is actually like a soulmate or a twin flame, and therefore it's a much more intense connection than any others. I don't know whether you've read much about the ideas concerning, the soulmate connection, like the twin flame connection, and what that's really about. But essentially it can be very intense, and as a result of that, we need to make sure that there's something good here. So we're moving on to a different style of reading. We're not doing a chronological spread. We're going to go back to the standard 8-card relationship reading, and we're going to see whether there's signs of reunification, which is going to be based purely upon the tarot and what I'm feeling up here, okay? So let's just have a quick look and see basically what the mystical tarot, the mystical Celtic tarot, is going to tell us about today. Alright. Okay, we're just going to have a look at the here and now part of the reading. It's the 8-card relationship reading, so that's 2 for you, 2 for him, 1 for the forces in between the two of you, and then we will then expand the reading and have a look at short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Okay? Forces between the two of you is definitely talking about communication, but there's also a sense of conflict there, and also a complex sense of conflict. So essentially, I don't think he's thinking at the moment about the emotional connection that you used to have. He's thinking about himself and his own selfish needs. On his side of the reading, we've got a very powerful major arcana there, and that is the Fool card, which can often speak about having your head in the clouds, or indeed being a bit juvenile about the whole relationship and about the whole connection. So he's going to be a difficult individual to deal with, although things can get a bit more practical because there's an emergence there of something a bit more down to earth and a bit more solid. So that's a very interesting emergence which is coming out in the reading. Your side of things, you feel a very, 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 very strong sense of connection with him. Pure cup signs. That's actually quite unusual. But there's also a sense of more reasoning coming into this. So I think you're going to be able to start putting some of the emotional anxiety aside and being able to think about what's really happening around you. So at the moment the situation is a mess. Alright, it's a mess, it's complex, there's other issues going on there, but there's still a sense of a bond there. Otherwise you wouldn't have a sign of communication there. It would be either possibly down to earth signs, or it would be something a little more complex. Okay, now progression: short term, mid term, long term, future. Long-term future signs looking much more interesting. It's the Judgment card of the Major Arcana. Don't know if you know what that's about. It's talking about change and transformation. Yes, as many Major Arcanas are. But the type of transformation it's talking about is very specific. It's talking about envy. You moving onward and upward, and other people envying you. Now, your concern is about this individual, and whether there's going to be some reconnection there. It looks like you've got to move on with other aspects of your life before that can happen. Just going to quickly revisit this reading for the short and mid-term future part of things, because there are some interesting signs there of control and being more in control. So when the communication which was foreseen by the forces between the two of you does come into fruition, then it appears that it depends on how you use it. I mean, there is a strong sense of connection there. There is a sense of there being something there, but it also looks like it's a little confusing because the circumstances in the situation are quite so extreme. So think about how you communicate during your short term, basically, because that's essentially where things are really important. And if you want to reach the point whereby you're together again and other people are envying you, then essentially it's going to take a bit of time. But also remember the message of the Judgment card there, which is to try and make improvements in other areas of your life so the rest of the world sees you as someone who is taking control, is looking after yourself, and who is proud of yourself. Okay, Estonia girl, we've got a reading for yourself about a possibility of a new relationship developing, but you're also curious about one particular character who's in your life or associated with your life. And this is an individual who keeps an awful lot of things secret. Your question about this individual is quite interesting, because I feel that you're obsessing on them. You're focusing on them just a little too much. And as a result of that, that can't help you to basically move forward and make a new relationship develop. So as far as that individual is concerned, they may have their reasons, but there's also a sense of distance between you and them. And I think you've just got to accept that that distance is there, and that it may change with the passage of time, but for the moment you are the most important person in your life. But let's see whether we can see whether there's a new relationship happening for you. Now bear with me a second, please. Alright, yeah. Again, very good, very strong on the minor arcana in this particular reading. And again, I mean, we've had an awful lot of earth signs coming through recently, and that's not really all that different with your reading. But we've also got that sense of an emergence of something of a new nature. Something of the apparently divine descending and entering into your life. There is an inverted pentagram on this card. Now, an inverted pentagram is not actually a bad sign. Some people associate it with the devil, but other people associate it with passion, with a physical relationship, or with a form of interconnectivity which is working on a much deeper level than something you may have previously thought about. So the feelings there are rather intriguing. There is a strong, passionate, and loving relationship coming your way. I don't have too many signs as to who this individual is. My feeling, based upon what I'm seeing here and all the rest of that, is that this individual is going to come into your life, then move out, then come back in again, over probably the coming 6 months total. So it's not, with the click of your fingers, all of a sudden you're in a pure and perfect relationship. It's not going to be quite that strong and solid. But the sense of there being that progress is definitely there for you. So don't worry. Just enjoy the future as it emerges. Astrologue 30, here we go. On with the next one of today. Yes, I'm really on a roll today. I love today. Okay. Astrologue 30. You're interested in one particular individual, but you also want to see what's happening between that individual and another individual. So what we're going to do today, in order to try and answer your question, is to expand the 8-card relationship reading, because this is what we can do with this particular form of social dynamic spread. And instead of just 2 cards for you, 2 cards for your partner, 1 for the thing which defines the connection, and 3 for short-term, mid-term, and long-term, we will do 2 for you, 2 for your partner, 2 for the other individual, and we'll see what the dynamic is happening all around. Okay? That's one thing I love about this particular spread. Okay, you can vary it, you can change it, and it depends upon the questions and the context. Okay, so we can choose different little piles or different little positions for the various individuals, and I can see what kind of inspiration I get. That's the way I do things. Okay, now the third party, so to speak, according to the reading, is someone who's trying to get involved. But I'm not seeing any real signs of success there. It appears to be on the ethereal level, because we've got some conflict-orientated signs there. Yes, communication and desire for further communication from that individual to the one that you're interested in does appear to be there, and you might think it's a bit of a warning sign that we've got the star card coming there. I think you got a right to be concerned, alright? But on the other hand, this other individual, the one that you're interested in, is showing very strong, stable signs with what's on your side of the reading as well. Which is demonstrating that there's passion and interconnectivity. The energies and the forces between yourself and the individual you're interested in is even stronger in terms of communication and actually trying to break through the darkness to try and find out what's really happening. The thing which defines the connection between the one you're interested in and the third party is down to earth. There is some connection there. I don't think that they're together in a physical sense. I just don't feel that at all. I feel they're seeing each other as friends, but on the other hand, they're not. Their energy is not compatible there, so it's not feeling very strong. And your connection between yourself and the third party, so to speak, is looking really rather intriguing. I feel that's an individual you could have as a friend, but there's also a message of acceptance there as well. So you can have the friendship, you can have the acceptance. Maybe it's a little bit like the Godfather films. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Just be friendly to everybody, basically. That's a very good way of making sure that things can work out according to plan. Now what we'll do is we'll expand the reading just a little, short-term, mid-term and long-term future, see what kind of thoughts and feelings and energies are coming through. Now, if things were not going to work out for your relationship, alright, then I don't think we'd have so many stable, strong signs there. It's looking quite, on an even keel, moving further forward into the future quite nicely and strong. So you don't have to worry too much about this third-party individual. The bonds there aren't all that strong. Naturally, you've still got to behave appropriately, and that can be difficult when you've got too many concerns in your mind as to whether this other individual is interfering too much. Alright, but I don't think that. I regard this as a circle of friends with you having desires for one particular individual, and as a result of that, there's something okay there, just not too bad. Although it's a complex reading and a complex situation, the outcome does seem to be beneficial for all parties. This third party individual, this other one that you're concerned about, not the one you're interested in, but the one you're concerned about, seems to be someone who doesn't fully understand the social graces, and I think that's something else to be remembered as well. Okay, we got a complex one today. Bala Michelle. Hello, Bala Michelle. Now, you've spoken in your message to me about your situation. You want to move on desperately, but you've still got a very strong sense of feelings for this one particular individual. Traditionally, for yourself, what you needed was another person to come in to replace the previous connection. Alright? That can work. That can work for a lot of people. But it's not quite good enough. Alright? And the reason I'm saying that is because you've got to think about the bigger picture and your longer term happiness. And when I'm talking about your longer term happiness, I really mean your longer term happiness. You've got to think about how you create separation. I mean, if you've still got a feeling of connection with one particular individual and you start a relationship with another individual, can you be sure that that heart bond is going to break with the old individual so that you can then focus on the new one? And on top of that, are you just getting addicted to the state of mind of new romance or a new loving relationship? These are things you've got to bear in mind. Alright, because there is this thing which I tell a lot of people about. I personally call it soulmate disease. I mean, some people talk about soulmate relationships. Well, I think that soulmate relationships are a bit more of a complex subject than a lot of people believe. Okay, I really do think so. And it's not just a question of a person who's predestined to be with you. I regard the soulmate as being an early stage of the relationship when the bond is there, you feel you're flying over daffodils, everything's great, you're in your mind's eye, you're drinking champagne every day, you know what I mean, it's cool. But that comes to an end. And it's learning to accept the fact that the soulmate stage always comes to an end, which is where your strength can come in, and you can start actually doing what's right for yourself. When things are like this, it's quite worthwhile to start to learn to deal with the feeling of a connection with an individual. The one thing I recommend to a lot of my clients, and I mean a lot of my clients, is to literally, morning and night, get on your knees, literally on your knees, talk to your higher power, and if you don't have one, you make one up. Alright, and ask the higher power to take away the feeling of connection you've got with that individual. It only takes a few minutes, literally a few minutes. It takes less time than frying an egg. Okay, and if you've got enough time to fry an egg in the morning, you've definitely got enough time to get on your knees and talk to your higher power and ask him to take away the feeling of connection you've got with that individual. And it won't happen overnight, but it will happen bit by bit, and you'll develop a much more balanced and objective stance towards relationships, and the next relationship that you develop will be okay. And it will help you an awful lot if you just give the prayer exercise a go. Seriously, it can really help. So that's the recommendation I'm going to give to you. And I think that's what you need to focus in on first. And I'm not going to do a reading for you today because essentially that wouldn't be right. Because this one particular task has got to happen so that you can move on. Okay? Yeah, I know it's a religious exercise. So what? It's also a very important psychological exercise, hypnotic exercise, and self-developmental exercise. And as such, it could do you a lot of good. Okay, Love Puppy 16 has come back, and it's talking about a relationship with one particular individual, and this one particular individual is treating her really rather badly, and is saying that, yeah, we'll meet up again next, it won't be until next year, because the other individual has got complexities in the background, which I'm not going to go into during this particular video. Okay? So let's have a quick look and see basically how the relationship is standing right now. Just bear with me a second, still shuffling like crazy, and for the most part when my hands are out of camera shot, then I'll be shuffling if the spread isn't down, because I want it to be nice and random so that you get basically what's coming, what's coming through and what's appearing here. Let's just have a quick look. Okay, I'm going to show you the cards and you can make up your own mind. Signs on your side of the reading: Hermit card, reverse, desire to be together with somebody else, and also a sense of isolation and feeling of frustration. This is all on your side of things. As well as the Justice card, so that in this particular case there's some literal justice, as well as a feeling of being out of balance. This is an individual who's treated you very badly, and there's a sense of frustration there. But there's also a strong sense of connection, desire for further communication, and a sense of something passionate underlying. On his side of things, well, there's some complexity there, but there's also something, he does still have a passionate connection with you, okay? So if your question is, does he value the relationship between yourself and him? Basically, yes. Is he prepared to take the action that's required? Basically, no. This is a very confused individual who's got a few issues, okay? So it's not the most easy of situations in the whole wide world, and you just got to accept that and just pay attention to that, okay? Progression, short-term, mid-term, and long-term future. Well, we've got some signs of stability, so this current situation is going to carry on going for a little while. Then he's going to try and get back involved, but because of the complexities in his background, it isn't going to be as consistent as you would like, and that's because of the complexities in his background. And you just got to accept that, okay? But there is still a sense of this continuing for a longer period of time into the future, so it's not really too negative. It's just very, very, very complex, and you personally need to develop an awful lot of acceptance. Okay, guys, girls, lords, ladies and gentlemen, we're just trying to squeeze one more in quickly, and then that'll be it for today. Okay, Sana Akbar just wants to know when she'll get married and a bit about the person. Well, marriage it's a free will issue. Once you've reached the connectivity of that with that individual. So you've got to make sure that the individual has a strong enough bond with you, and you have a strong enough bond with them. And then you can make the free will decision to be able to make the relationship work and then to move on to marriage. Okay? So is it right for me? Is it actually right for me to turn around to you and tell you who you're going to marry? Is that right? Is that moral? What I could do is just have a quick look and see what the reading says about you developing a new connection, and one that could potentially precipitate marriage. Let's have a quick look. Obviously slightly different meaning, you know, I'm doing this in a way which I feel comfortable with, okay? There are some particular varieties of questions which I don't feel I should be answering. And the reason for that is because I don't feel I should be answering them. And you yourself, no matter what, you've still got to take total responsibility over your life. Because no matter what your reader says, no matter what I say, no matter what anyone else who's got like a pack of cards or has been in, you know, a spiritualist circle or whatever says, you are still the final decision maker in your life, and you must remember that. Okay? And that goes for all of you. And me. And everyone. But let's see what the reading says. Yeah, okay. Whew. Well, again, you know, the message of passion is coming through an awful lot these days in this particular reading today. The Chariot card of the Major Arcana can speak of conflict. It can also speak of a victory. And if marriage is what you want to get, the reading is telling me straight out it will happen for you at some point in your future. But it's not really giving me any major significance. It's not giving me that sense of this is it, you know. But there is a sense that you've got to change your perception and priorities here. The Fool card can speak about having your head in the clouds, or maybe thinking too much about the fantasy of what marriage is about, not the hard and fast reality. So when you reach that moment in time, when you want to make the marriage situation type thing work, okay, you got to think about things on a very down-to-earth and very fundamental level to do with your character, your nature, your energy, the way that you interact with other people, what you want to get out of it, and not the dream of marriage. Too many people fall for the illusion and the dream of marriage, and they don't necessarily think about what it means to be in that kind of close psychological, environment with someone and how it's going to work out. And when you do, when I had my last relationship, I actually got myself counselling so I could make sure I could become a better person to make sure the relationship could carry on. Alright, so, progression. There are romantic signs there are signs of familiarity. It could still be someone who's around you. Not someone who you've met within the past couple of weeks or months, I don't think. But the sense of progression appears to be there. So yeah, you are going to get married. I think that's more or less a bottom line that we can say there. Alright. Those are the tarot readings for today. Remember, a tarot reading or a psychic reading is an entertainment service which provides, some people say, some forms of therapeutic benefit or an opportunity to contemplate your life in a different way. Okay? I'm not here to use my tarot cards to tell you the atomic weight of uranium or the precise distance of the planet Pluto from planet Earth at this present point in time. What I do is I help you to see your life in a different way. And I help you to understand some things about yourself. And you can disagree with me or you can agree with me. But the bottom line is, just enjoy the show. And there's some great stories and some great inquiries, and I've managed to help a lot of people with a lot of very complex issues in their lives. The kind of stories I get when I'm working over the telephone and over the internet, they can be quite harrowing and quite extreme. And I just advise these people to the best of my ability, take into account all of my experience, my knowledge, and everything that I am. Okay, I bid you good fortune, God, and or Goddess, and all none of the above bless. Speak to you in a while. Nick Dutch signing out for now. Submit your requests via private message, not in the comment section, not via video responses. Okay? And I look forward to speaking to you again soon on the Nick Dutch Tarot YouTube channel.